Greetings, beloveds. This is Amy Caryn Johnson, the Earth Channel, here with you today for another energy report for the week, focused on the 3955 channel in human design, and of course, with a message from Gaia coming soon. In this case, this week, I'm doing something a little different. I felt like I needed a break from being camera ready, basically. And so that's why you're only hearing my voice and not seeing my face today. I just needed a break from that. But I'm still covering the same sorts of things I've been covering in previous videos. And I'm going to keep my part short and get to the message from Mother Earth, Gaia, soon. But this is about human design, so I am going to cover the basics in this form of astrology and the way that I interpret it. So if you would like to run your chart and see if you have any of the gates or centers defined that I am speaking about, and I will share with you the chart for this week, you may go to humandesignamerica.com/chart. And if you don't know your birth time, you can try noon for starters. It should at least give you a good starting point, and I have no affiliation with that site. That being said, the 3955 channel connects from the root center, the brown square in the chart you're seeing here at the bottom, with the emotional center, the brown triangle on the right, which you're seeing on the chart I'm sharing with you. The root center is very much akin to the root chakra, not a lot of differences there. The emotional center sometimes is called the solar plexus, but I see it personally, I interpret it as one of three centers that are related to the solar plexus, this being one of them. And if you'd like to hear about my interpretations of the others, you can look for my playlist on my YouTube channel with a series of 10 videos talking about these different centers. If in your chart these centers are open or undefined, they will be white. Same with the gates. If the gates are activated or defined, they will be black, red, or a combination of the two. So just the basics about this channel. It is an individual channel. I personally only have the 39th gate. And in this series of videos, I've been speaking about compromises. A compromise in human design is when a person, like me in this case, has only one gate defined in a channel, and another person or thing or entity has that full channel defined. So in this case, it is the energy for the week that has it fully defined. And it's easiest, you can take it least personally when it is just the energy for the week, as opposed to a person where it can feel a little more uncomfortable when that full channel is defined and you only have one channel, or one gate defined in your chart. However, the main purpose for me making these videos is to try to help you to see how you can access these energies whenever you want. When you have an open gate at one end of a channel and a defined gate at the other end of that channel, it can feel like it's your purpose in life, at least to some degree, to seek the energy of that other gate. In my case in particular, the 55th gate is what is also called a bridging gate. And that means that I have, in my own birth chart, a split definition. I have two groups of centers connected with defined channels, but those two groups are obviously separated and not connected to each other with defined channels. And when the 55th gate is activated, defined, whether that's in another person's chart or just the energy for the week, then that bridges my two definitions in my chart. And so in particular, the 55th gate feels to me especially like I am often and have been frequently seeking that energy. I have 4 other bridging gates, and so I've also sought those energies as well in the past. But the 55th is an interesting one. This channel is also known as an individual channel, which means that anyone who has that full gate defined, but also to maybe a slightly lesser degree, anyone who has a gate defined within one of these individual channels is going to feel like they have a unique way of being with it. And sort of like marching to the beat of your own drum may not necessarily be understood readily or immediately by others. And yet you feel the need to talk about it usually. And you can sort of fumble your way through talking about it sometimes, but you just feel the need to talk about it. And that's totally cool and fine. Just know that sometimes people won't always fully understand what you're saying. You might not even fully understand what you're saying, always. So with seeking, for me in particular, that 55th gate, especially with the energy of this week, Jupiter going retrograde right now is spending a long time in this 55th gate. And right now the sun is defining the 39th gate. And I will have these circled in the chart that I'm sharing with you, so you can see more easily where I'm talking about. The 55th gate, being in the emotional center, is also, to add one more layer of uniqueness on top of what I've already shared, a place where a lot of our evolution is currently occurring. We are evolving to have our emotions as something that we are more aware of, more accepting of, and less shunning of, or, we're letting go of the age of reason in a lot of ways, the age of needing to be quite so rational, quite so white knuckling it, sometimes you could say, and recognizing the flow of emotions, the intelligence that is there. There is an intelligence there, even though in the past we have, as a society, certainly belittled emotions. We've relegated them to the realm of the weak female figures in our lives. And so it's time for those to have their day, basically, and to really come to the forefront, be recognized for the value that they provide. And I have spoken in previous videos recently about the value of getting in touch with the feeling that you want as the main goal of any creation or manifestation that you're seeking to achieve, because the feeling really is what we're going for, even though we may not have recognized that before. And so I think I'm starting to get into the realm of where Gaia would like to speak more exclusively. And so I am going to go ahead and let her take the floor now. So as usual, even though I'm not guiding you visually, I invite you to take a few deep breaths and close your eyes if you would like to connect with Gaia, Mother Earth, with me. Okay, so Gaia would like to point out that one of the most important things to do when getting in touch with your emotions, not only that you're feeling in the moment, but also the emotions that you would like to feel more of. It's important to rest. And so obviously Amy is taking a little bit of a break today, allowing me, Gaia, to do a bit more of the work, which I am happy to do. And I would invite you all to connect with me anytime that you would like more support, more help, and just allow me to guide you in the easiest, most efficient way to accomplish what it is that your heart truly desires. And by getting quiet, taking a break, not only do you tend to breathe more deeply, but then that helps to get the energy flowing, which is really what the emotions are anyway. Energy, in motion, emotion. And that's the best way for them to be, to flow. Once we recognize those emotions, especially if they're ones that we're uncomfortable with. If you notice, a lot of times what happens when you feel emotions that you're uncomfortable with is you tend to hold your breath. You tend to hold on to them. You get still in a way that is more stuck. And that just makes them worse. Whereas if you breathe and sit with them and observe them without judgment, that helps them to flow into the next emotion much more easily. And that next emotion is more likely to be something that you can enjoy more, not only because all emotions go up and then down, and just like with gravity, anything that goes up must come down. Anything that goes down can also go right back up. And the more you get still, breathe, observe, let go of attachment, let go of judgment, the more you can get on an even keel with all the emotions and tune into those emotions that you wish to experience more of. And so, as Amy said, this 55th gate is a place where we are, as a planet, evolving. And there's a great amount of freedom to be gained by evolving this way with our emotions. And with freedom, you might also associate abundance. These are the things that the I Ching speaks to with this hexagram, which is connected to this gate, the 55th. And the same is necessary with abundance in your life. The more you allow it to flow, the more you allow yourself to give what you have away to some degree, not everything, but don't hold on to all of it. The more you allow it to flow, the more it comes back to you fresh and new and more abundantly than ever. We don't have a lot of models yet on this earth for people who express their emotions. And so for those of you watching this video, you are ready to be a model for how to express emotions safely. Express them to yourself first. And then find a way to take a little bit of the charge out of them that maybe was there before. And find a way to speak about them with calmness and equanimity. This will really help others to not only listen to you, but to understand how they can do this too. With the 39th gate, this gate has traditionally been a bit of a difficult one as well. Not specifically about emotions, but one thing Amy left to me, Gaia, to explain, but she has mentioned it in previous videos, is the fact that the root center and the emotional center are both motor centers. The 39th gate is in the root center, and with any gate in the root center, and any gate in any motor center for that matter, it gets turned on and off. It's not going to be on all the time. And so it's another way that you need to listen for when you're being prompted into action and when you're being prompted into resting and receiving. Like Amy is today, she is being prompted into rest, relaxation, receiving. And that's why she allowed me, Gaia, to come through to do this work today. She's receiving these messages and letting them flow through her to you. So, in the past, when people have felt this motor center wind down, they have typically associated it with a sense of melancholy. And it's not that that's completely inaccurate. Amy is feeling a little melancholic today. But once you embrace it and don't judge it as being bad, that she is not as active today as in other times, it becomes something to relish, something to treasure and cherish and enjoy. That rest, that receiving. And as Amy has mentioned in previous videos as well, with this system of human design, taking the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching and overlaying them with the 12 signs of the zodiac, which Amy does differently using the sidereal signs, but leaving the gates in the same place. Gates connect directly to those 64 hexagrams. Each of those hexagrams is made up of yin and yang lines. The feminine, the masculine is one way to look at those. And in the comments from last week's video, Amy spoke about false dichotomies. And in a way, that is the way that you could look at any dichotomy, this realm of dualism, this physical realm. It appears that there are opposites, like good and bad. And yet, if you really get into the flow of these 64 gates and hexagrams, and you see the dance of the yin and yang lines, it becomes evident that there truly are no dichotomies. Yes, there are some things that are a little more feminine and others that are a little more masculine. But we all flow and change and evolve. And as soon as you try to pin down the identity of something as being only one side of those, it'll flip on you and show you the other side, including yourselves. We are complex beings. We are not static characters. And that's one of the things Amy has been learning recently, as she has spent time around her niece and nephew, who each have this full channel defined, representing somewhat of a compromise, and yet one that she has learned to enjoy quite a bit. In some ways, unfortunately, they still haven't fully learned how to express those emotions, but they will get there. And it just goes to show that for every moment, every season, each different cycle, none of which are ever going to be the same twice. There is a different way to be in balance, a different set of needs to be met, a different way to ride that wave as if you were a surfer. And so, even while perhaps lacking a bit of the verbal expression, Amy's niece and nephew are learning how to express in different ways and to ride those waves and adapt each and every day to the ways that that energy is prompting them to behave and act or not act. Allowing them to be diverse characters, diverse beings. And they inspired Amy recently to recognize that while in her younger life she tried to be one static character, the right character, she has come to accept herself as an ever-evolving being. One that she allows to change each and every day, pursue different things that she likes, and yet have routines as well, if that suits her. And yet she notices that even with the seasons, the months, etc., the different cycles, her routines evolve to fit those as well. We so often, as a society, chase after different things, different ways of being accepted, or so we think, different ways of fitting in. And yet, when we let that go, we can recognize the true value that is in each of those things and the timing as well that will enhance that value, or the times that there will not be much value with certain particular pursuits. When the participation in different actions, different activities, even sometimes different gatherings, when the intention behind them is simply to be accepted and to achieve some superficial identity that is assumed will bring satisfaction of some kind, often it is found to be empty. It's only when we recognize the core within ourselves that, while it doesn't change, constantly changes, constantly grows. It's that core of love. And about it, you could say, in a way, that the only thing that stays the same is change. The only constant is change. And so that is the constant at our core. And once we come back to that love, that is really all we're seeking anyway, and just be with it, recognize that it's been there all along, and then send it out as well. We recognize that this works the same way as all abundance. By letting it flow, it grows. Deep breath. Let it go. So while I am always happy to share from my perspective, me, Gaia, Mother Earth, as much as needed, I also want to recognize the value of Amy sharing her experiences directly too, so that you can see how each of these aspects, even though sometimes they may seem to be contradicting, can be put into practice, and how she has put them into practice. You, as physical beings, those being your characters that you have donned for this lifetime, your true selves being, of course, infinite and eternal, but having donned that physical skin suit, you know best what works and what doesn't work in this realm. You know the way to get yourself back to that place of love. And Amy has certainly begun to see the love that is all that is in everything. Even in sadness. Even in things that previously would have seemed to be quite dark. She has even, especially in summertime, come to appreciate shadows, the shade, where it is nice and cool. There's a wonderful contrast that occurs in this physical realm. And there is love in all of it. Different aspects and expressions of love. So I invite you all to find that kernel of love in all of those things as well. And see how your gratitude expands. One more deep breath. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste, beloveds. Thank you for watching, subscribing, liking, sharing, and clicking the bell button to be notified when the new weekly message comes out.